Hi, I'm Mark Mazzaferro, and it's time for another episode of Fire Facts. And with us, as always, on Fire Facts is Fire Chief Kris Concepcion. Kris, thanks for being here today.
Hi, Mark. How you doing?
I'm doing well, and you?
Very good. Very good. Thank you.
Actually, I'm suffering from allergies.
All right. It's that time of the year.
Yeah,
it's
it is.
that time of year.
And allergies and my suffering is what led me to bring up today's topic, which is the fire season is arriving, if it's not here already.
That's one of the things that signals fire season is coming.
That's right.
We have actually, the fire department is actually, for our department, has actually already opened fire season just a couple weeks ago because of the warm temperatures. But
yeah, it's heat and weeds and fuel. You know, they kind of go together when fire season arrives. But and as kind of an aside, I've been getting a lot of comments from residents about weed abatement, which is something you guys take care of too.
Absolutely.
And it seems like there's a whole lot more weeds this year because of all the weather we had leading up to this time.
Yeah, so that the rain is a blessing and a curse. You know, so they always ask me, we've got lots of rain this year. It's got to be good for you guys. Well, you're right. There are no fires during the winter, and it's the fuels are wet, and the fuels are wet for a little bit longer. But as soon as the weather gets warmer and the humidity drops, which as we're seeing now in this week, the fuels turn from that green to a nice. That's why they call it the Golden Hills around here, right? Yeah. And so that is just that's just more fuel. So where the more water that we got because of all the rain has caused a lot more growth. So we got a lot more weeds. They're a lot taller in areas, than we're normally used to. So that's the curse, unfortunately.
So what do we tell people? Because certainly, if you live in the middle of town, weeds on a mountain aren't a big concern. But if you live on California Drive or even up Alamo and some of those side streets over there, what do we tell people to kind of help them prevent a fire in their neighborhood, or at least coming onto their property?
Well, what I tell them is our weed abatement folks are out there, and the letters have gone out as far as all the properties that need to be cleared, and we ask, please pay attention to that, because it is very important. And over the last couple of years, our weed abatement program has proven itself. We had, I think it was about 2 years ago, we had a North Wind Day, and if it weren't for weed abatement, where the properties were cleared very well, I can remember this in Southtown. A fire had been started with the lines being blown down, the power lines being blown down, and a fire was started by the power lines, and it got into a field that had been abated, and it didn't go anywhere. And if that hadn't been cut down, and if the weeds hadn't been removed by the property owner, we would have been chasing that fire all the way into Fairfield.
Right down the road.
So, yeah, and so it proves that it works, and it works very, very well. And that isn't the only instance in the short time that I've been here. It's proven over and over again.
Sure.
So, I can't stress it enough. Just make sure that if you have that notice, or even if you don't get a notice and you've got weeds that are growing on your property, clear it. That's the best defense against fire.
Well, I think we say 30 feet from the fence, or is that just a number that I've made up in my head?
Actually, 30 feet from the house is good, and then what we try to do is 30 feet from the roadways, because a lot of fires are started off of the roadways, so that's a good rule. And then I know in Leisure Town and at the old golf course, I know everybody's been asking about that. We have asked that they actually clear between the houses and the property, that they clear 100 feet. So You know, that's out of an overabundance of caution. I don't
Right.
think we necessarily need that, but we ask that they clear that much just to make it that much safer.
Sure. Well, you know, last year, the big fire in Fairfield, I think you were in Texas or something for that. Don't worry about that. We handled it.
Okay.
Well,
I
not
know,
me
well,
personally, but
yeah.
Alan and the team did a great
Yes,
job.
they did a great job.
That's probably a very poor example of I mean, you could have done all kinds of weed abatement, but I'm going to guess that it still led to some houses not being involved or areas you couldn't worry. you
Yeah,
didn't
so
need to
there were
worry
some
about.
areas. There were some areas in there that had been prepped and had good, what we call defensible space. You know,
Right.
some area between the fuel and the houses, and you can see that the fire, you know, stopped in that area. And then one of the things that we're doing this year is we're actually talking to Cal Fire, and we're talking about trying to get the fuels and the brush taken out between the freeway and the rest of the properties, so that if, like I said, it happens all too often, you know, where someone drops a cigarette, which they know that's one thing that they shouldn't be doing, or you know, a catalytic converter drops off of a car, that, you know, that's usually a good way to cause a fire. But if there's no fuel for it to, you know, those sparks to burn,
Right.
then there's no fire, and that's the best kind of prevention. Which kind of brings me to another point. We posted a couple of weeks ago on, you know, in the middle of April, and just a slight breezy day. It wasn't too warm outside, but I happened to be going by it. But somebody had flicked a cigarette out the window, and it caught the duff in the gutter, you know, and it smoldered. And it actually, by the time I got there, and it was just minutes after this person had, you know, it just a couple minutes after it was reported to us. Luckily, somebody saw them throwing the cigarette out and reported it very quickly. But it actually, you know, it extended about 50 feet in the gutter, and some of it had got onto that triangular piece of property out there at Allison in Browns Valley.
Nice.
Where on a hot summer day with a little bit more breeze, that would have carried right into that, and that fuel would have been, you know, dry by then. It would have taken out that entire piece of property and potentially threatened, what is that, Bed Bath and Beyond over there?
Yeah,
and
right,
those places there. So you can see just how quickly this can happen. Just an ounce of prevention, and that's what we're asking for, is just an ounce of prevention can prevent things like the Nelson fire that happened last year. It can prevent, you know, catastrophes that, you know, potential catastrophes that could have happened, like what could have happened if that had happened, you know, just a couple of weeks later.
Yeah,
You know,
right.
warmer temperatures, it could have been a lot worse.
Did they ever determine, excuse me, what caused the Nelson fire at all, or is that still just guessing?
From what I understand, it was a smoldering material. It was accidental, but it was smoldering material off of the roadway that caused that.
Okay. And of course, it's May, and after May comes June and July, and we all know what happens in July, and that's the 4th of July and fireworks.
Yeah, it's a very patriotic day, but for me, a day that I really look forward to, because I'm a patriot, but at the same time, a day as a firefighter I don't look forward to so much because of all the shenanigans that goes on. And you know, it's a good time to remind everyone that fireworks of any kind, whether they're safe and sane, whether they're, you know, the illegal kind that you get from other states or from other countries, none of that stuff, and let me reiterate, none of that is allowed in Vacaville. And the problem that we have is we've got a couple of neighboring cities that sell what they call safe and sane. There's nothing safe or sane about those fireworks. I can tell you that right now. But none of those, you can't buy them in the neighboring cities and bring them back into the city of Vacaville. That's not allowed. So, you know, we'll repeat it again, that's not allowed, and we have to upstaff during that time, so it costs the city money, not just with the fire department, but we have to upstaff the police department to make sure that we've got adequate staffing so that we can patrol the neighborhoods when, it'd be so much easier to go for, what we ask the residents of Vacaville to do is, we put on a pretty darn good show.
Right.
Leave it to the pros. Go to a show. I mean, and they know what they're doing. They take in consideration all the wind and all that kind of stuff. And like I said, that's going to be better than any kind of show that you could put on at your house anyway.
Yeah, I mean, once you say all fireworks are illegal in the city of Vacaville, I don't know what else you can say. I mean, so you could go to, we'll state it again, all fireworks are illegal
Yes.
in the city of Vacaville. End of story.
Yes.
And yet, still people get mad at us, people complain,
Mm-hmm.
Both on the side of, well, it's my right as an American, and
Mm-hmm.
that's, God bless America, I love America too, but, and then other people complain that we don't do enough to stop the fireworks, and as you said, it's police, it's fire, it's public works.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everybody, we spend so much on staffing on the 4th of July, it's crazy.
Right.
And still people insist on setting
Yeah,
off fireworks and
yeah.
the risk and the it's just crazy,
And you can almost count on July 4th being a hot, dry,
Yeah.
slightly windy day. You can count on that. I mean, you can almost, it's almost 100% guaranteed that's the
Right.
kind of day. And unfortunately, that's the day when fireworks are everybody. I hear the same complaints. You people say you're un-American. You don't love America. Believe me, I'm as patriotic as they come.
Absolutely.
But fireworks are just unsafe. There's no two ways about it. They are just unsafe. We're so patriotic that we put on a firework. If it was if it was up to me, we wouldn't have a fireworks show. We would have a laser show or something
I was
like
just going
that.
to say, even our fireworks, as safe as they are, done by professionals, there's a level of risk in that show as well.
Absolutely.
And you guys have trucks out there.
Yes.
It's not like
Yeah.
we're all sitting in the firehouse waiting for the call. You're ready just in case,
Right. Yeah.
And yet, still, the amateurs out there, the amateur pyrotechnicians,
think they can do a better job at the
Yeah,
show.
yeah,
Think they're
yeah.
not going to cause any problems, and it's just unfortunate.
Yeah, it is, and it'll probably happen forever and a day.
Yeah.
I mean, the July 4th fire we had, I remember driving to City Hall. I share this every year.
Mm-hmm.
I drive to City Hall. I walk up the stairs of the Emergency Operations Center. I see the hills glowing from the fire. I'm hearing the calls, and at the same time, I'm hearing fireworks going off and seeing people setting off their own fireworks, and it's like, wow, if this doesn't get the message through, what will? What can we do?
Yeah.
know?
And it's unfortunate. The next year, I mean, that happened right before I got here, I came a couple of months later, so I had heard about the fire.
Lucky you.
But the next July 4th, when I was here, we were chasing fireworks all over the city again.
Right.
It seems like people had a very short memory.
Yeah, it's remarkable. Well, okay, so we're doing our best to prevent fires from happening. We don't want people to use fireworks. Anything else going on? It was great that you got to introduce the Explorers at the last council meeting.
I was just going to talk about that. The Explorer program is going very, very well. They've done a couple of ride-alongs now, and they've been exposed to the different things. And we're very, very excited about the program. The kids are excited about the program. So we hope to grow it. Right now, I know we've had a few phone calls from after we introduced the Explorers. We've had a few phone calls from the residents and other kids that are interested in the program. We are not taking applications right now, but probably in the next year or so, we're going to look and see how much we can expand it. We've got 15 youth in the program right now. We're hoping to expand that in the next couple of years to 24 or 25. So we will be, once we get our feet on the ground and try to get a routine going with the program, we'll be able to expand it.
Excellent.
And we'll let the community know when that's available.
Well, as we've said before, PD has their cadets, and now you guys have your Explorers, and they get used too. It's not like they're just Okay, come in for 2 hours. We use them all the time for different events,
Right.
and it'll be the same with the Explorers.
Yeah, and we're really excited about, this year. In October is going to be Fire Prevention Month, and that's the same month as Kids Fest, and that's the same
Right.
same month as our open house for the fire department. So we're going to be really excited to be able to use the Explorers, have the Explorers with us to use them for the education purposes, for the community. So I think it'd be really good.
All right, good deal. Anything else going on in the fire department you want to share with us, Chief? Or we've covered a lot of ground today.
No, I think everybody just please remember, get those weeds cleared in plenty of time. Those people that have received notices, you have until June 1st, and then we're going to start inspecting properties, and then we're going to get on you about clearing it. And I apologize now, but it's extremely important to us that you clear those properties. And then, with 4th of July happening, we just want to make sure that people are safe.
You don't want Jill Childers knocking on your door, do you?
No, you
don't. Want
don't.
that.
Nope, you don't want her mad at you.
No, it's not good.
Yeah.
Jill's the sweetest person I know.
Yes.
She knocked
But I
on
still
my,
don't
okay,
want
I'm
her
sorry,
mad
I
at
go
me.
out there and pull my neighbor's weeds if she showed up. All right, well, listen, Chief, thank you very much for all the great info as usual, and thank you all for watching this episode of Fire Facts. We'll see you next time.